The chime rang across the academy like a blade drawn in silence. Every cadet froze mid-step as the walls flickered with the sigil of the Interstellar Council, a spiral of stars, burning gold and cold at once. Elena Torres stopped where she stood in the crowded atrium, the echo pressing against her chest like a weight. Around her, dozens of alien cadets turned toward the projection. Some whispered in their own tongues, wings rattling, scales scraping, mandibles clacking in uneasy rhythm. The announcement came with no softness. By decree of the Interstellar Council, Headmaster Soren's voice reverberated, sharp as a war drum, the tournament of unity shall commence. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Elena heard disbelief, excitement, and fear mixing into one voice. "The tournament!" Malik muttered beside her, broad shoulders tensing. Jun adjusted his glasses, already pale. "It hasn't been called in half a century. This isn't a test. It's judgment." Elena's stomach tightened. She already knew what this meant. That night, the Grand Convocation Hall filled to bursting. Alien crests glowed along the domed ceiling, banners of species shimmering with ancient symbols. The air was hot with anticipation. Soren's plasma form pulsed at the center dais, a living flame of authority. The tournament of unity, he declared, was forged in the fires of distrust. It ensures that each species proves its worth, not only through words, but through honor, skill, and endurance. Hollow panels lit around the chamber, replaying brutal duels from history, winged warriors clashing mid-air, reptilian giants wrestling in void chambers, insectoid champions locked in vicious grapples. The crowd buzzed louder with every image. "Each species will present one cadet," Soren continued, "one champion to carry the strength of their kind. Victories earn respect. Defeat marks shame." His gaze burned across the chamber. Humanity has been admitted provisionally. Now humanity will stand. The silence was suffocating. Then, as if scripted, the spotlight flared toward Elena's row. "Elena Torres," Soren pronounced. "You will represent humanity." The hall erupted. "She's a child," Aviari cried, wings flaring in disdain. "Fragile prey," hissed a Drenari in the back rows. Others laughed openly. Elena rose slowly, ignoring Malik's clenched jaw and Jun's wide eyes. Her voice, steady but firm, cut through the chaos. "I accept." The chamber shuddered under the response, mockery from some, stunned silence from others, and, in rare corners, grudging curiosity. After the assembly, Malik slammed their dorm door hard enough to rattle the frame. "This is madness!" His fists hit the wall. "You carry all of us now. If you fall, it isn't just you. They'll say all humans are weak." Jun's voice was quieter but sharper. "The Council engineered this. They want humanity cornered. A victory forces them to acknowledge us. A failure ends the debate forever." Elena unstrapped her gloves, laying them neatly on her desk. "That's why I can't refuse." Malik wheeled on her. "You'll be facing species bred for war, for survival in hells we can't imagine. And they expect you to carry Earth's name against them all?" She met his fury with calm. "If I don't, Earth never gets another chance. If I do, they'll never dismiss us again." For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Then Malik sighed, dropping heavily into a chair. "Fine. Then we make damn sure you're ready." Training consumed the following cycles. The Academy's combat halls became Elena's second skin, shifting terrains of desert heat, icy winds, and zero-gravity void. Malik sparred with her relentlessly, pushing speed and endurance, while Jun studied opponents' histories and fed her data. "Don't match strength," Jun reminded during one spar. "Leverage, always." "Don't fight fair," Malik added with a grin. "Fight smart." Sweat stung her eyes, muscles screamed, bruises bloomed purple across her arms, but her focus never wavered. Each strike, each dodge, each breath was practice for survival. At night, exhaustion dragged her toward sleep, but her father's voice always lingered. "Respect is earned in silence, until the day you must speak with your fists." That day was closing fast. On the third cycle, Elena was summoned to the tournament arena itself. The chamber was colossal, larger than any structure she had seen. Walls soared beyond sight, lined with environmental projectors. The floor shifted seamlessly from mountain ranges to oceans, deserts to caverns. In the stands, cadets filled every row, their voices a living storm. One by one, champions emerged. A Varkhul duelist with feathers sharp as blades, a Zet insectoid with armor like obsidian stone, a Caldri shapeshifter whose body shimmered between forms. Each carried themselves with pride. Then Varkhul entered. The reptilian heir strode forward, scales gleaming, his posture steady and unyielding. He no longer carried the smirk of arrogance. His eyes locked on Elena across the arena. There was no mockery in them now, only promise. Finally, Elena stepped into the light. Her human crest glowed above, and a ripple of disbelief swept through the stands. She kept her stride even, her face calm. From the council balcony, Headmaster Soren's voice thundered, "Champions, the tournament of unity begins. Fight not only for yourselves, but for your species." Every strike echoes across the stars. Elena's heart pounded, but her voice was steady as she whispered, "Then let them hear us." The arena lights flared, the ground shifting beneath her feet. The tournament had begun. The arena floor rippled like water, transforming beneath Elena's boots. First came sand, rising dunes glowing under a sun hotter than any desert on Earth. In the next breath, the terrain froze into jagged tundra, wind howling across ice fields. Then the ground dissolved into metallic platforms suspended in weightless void. The crowd roared at the shifting spectacle, but Elena kept her focus forward. Across from her, wings spread wide, the Varkhul duelist stepped into the light. His feathers shimmered like blades of glass, his body lean and sharp, eyes gleaming with predatory confidence. "You should not be here." "Human," his voice rang, smooth yet edged with contempt. "The skies are not yours. This arena was made for hunters." Elena flexed her hands, settling into stance. "Every environment has limits. Even yours." The signal blared. The desert phase locked into place. Heat bore down, the sand scorching underfoot. The Varkhul launched upward instantly, wings slicing the air with a hiss. He soared above her, a blur of feathers against the blinding sky, then dove like an arrow. Elena dropped flat, the wind of his dive burning across her back. He pulled up just before impact, spraying sand into her face. The crowd cheered at his speed. She spat grit, shielding her eyes, circling steadily. "Don't chase him. Make him chase me." The Varkhul circled overhead, laughing. Too slow. Too grounded. He dove again, claws extended. This time, Elena sidestepped at the last second, grabbing a handful of sand and flinging it into his path. He hissed mid-dive, blinded, wing beats faltering. She drove a sharp kick into his side as he passed, sending him tumbling. The stands erupted. Shock, disbelief, laughter from human cadets, jeers from others. Elena ignored them all, already repositioning. The terrain shifted. Ice cracked underfoot, breath steaming in the frigid air. The Varkhul shook sand from his feathers and adjusted his stance, fury tightening his features. He spread his wings again, this time slower, testing the slippery surface before lifting off. His dive came angled, claws striking for her legs. Elena leapt sideways, boots skidding on the ice. His talons scraped sparks across frozen stone. She pivoted, slamming her elbow into his wing joint. A crack echoed. The Varkhul shrieked, spinning out of control before slamming onto the ice. He staggered up, wings trembling, feathers broken along one edge. "You fight dirty!" he spat, chest heaving. She steadied herself, ribs aching. "I fight to win." That's the difference. The void phase ignited. Gravity thinned until her body floated, weightless. The platforms drifted apart, suspended in endless black. Elena steadied her breath, pushing off one platform to another, body light but unstable. The Varkhul, even injured, was graceful here. His wings spread wide, carrying him effortlessly between islands of metal. He lunged across the void, talons flashing. Elena twisted mid-air, catching the edge of a platform and using it to sling herself under his strike. She came up behind him, fist snapping into his exposed ribs. He gasped, momentum broken, wings flaring wildly. The crowd gasped with him. She pressed her advantage, using the void's low pull to leap higher, striking again and again at his weakened side. Each blow rang sharp against bone until finally his wings folded, body collapsing onto the nearest platform. He struggled to rise. Breath ragged, eyes burning with disbelief, Elena landed across from him, steady despite her bruises. Yield, it's over. Silence spread for a heartbeat. Then, with a hiss that sounded almost like a growl, the Varkhul bowed his head. The referee's voice cut through the arena. Victory, humanity. The explosion of sound shook the chamber. Cheers from the human cadets. Shouts of outrage from others, murmurs of shock circling like wildfire. She grounded a Varkhul? Impossible. They own the skies. No, she made the ground fight for her. Elena stood tall, chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. She didn't smile, didn't gloat. She bowed once toward her fallen opponent, then turned to face the crowd. Later, in the prep chamber, Malik gripped her shoulders, eyes blazing. You did it. You clipped his wings, outmaneuvered him in his own sky. Jun's datapad chimed as he scanned the duel's replay. Not luck, precision. You forced him into mistakes. That's why it worked. Elena peeled off her gloves, hands raw from the strikes. He underestimated me. They all will. That's our edge. Jun frowned. They won't underestimate you again. Every species is watching now, and fear spreads faster than respect. Elena sank onto a bench, bandaging her knuckles. Then I'll give them both. That evening, whispers spread across the academy. In hallways, cafeterias, and training yards, cadets replayed the duel again and again. Some spat the word cheater. Others, quieter, muttered, clever. For the first time, a human was no longer ignored. Instructors met in hushed chambers, voices cutting low. Adaptable, one muttered. Dangerously so. Another shook their head. Too unpredictable. If this continues, humanity will upset balance. Elena returned to her dorm late, exhaustion pressing heavy. Malik was half asleep on the couch, June still scrolling reports. They looked up as she entered. First blood's drawn, Malik said, voice rough but proud. And you made it count, Jun didn't smile. The next fight won't be so forgiving. They'll throw someone at you who can't be tricked with sand and ice. Elena lay back against her bunk, closing her eyes. Then I'll find another way. Her father's words returned again, quiet but steady. Respect is earned in silence until the day you must speak with your fists. Today, she had spoken. Tomorrow she would speak louder. From the council balcony, Headmaster Soren's voice thundered, Champions, the tournament of unity begins. Fight not only for yourselves, but for your species. Every strike echoes across the stars. Elena's heart pounded, but her voice was steady as she whispered. Then let them hear us. The arena lights flared, the ground shifting beneath her feet. The tournament had begun. Rumors spread faster than light. By the morning after Elena's first victory, the academy was alive with whispers. In the cafeteria, in corridors, even in training halls, her name lingered on every tongue. She brought down a Varkhul. Impossible. They own the skies. Not anymore. Some voices carried awe, others bitterness. A few hissed with open contempt. Elena ignored them, moving through the corridors with her head high. Malik walked at her side, shoulders squared like a wall. They're rattled. That's good. Jun, eyes fixed on his datapad, shook his head. Not just rattled. Some of them are scared. Fear makes enemies faster than fists. They reach the combat roster screen, a holographic display projecting the next matches. Elena's name glowed at the top, paired with her next opponent, Kurlock of the Zet. Elena exhaled slowly. Insectoid. Jun's lips pressed tight. Not just insectoid. Zet warrior caste. Their armor is near impenetrable. You can't break him head on. Malik grinned, a sharp edge in his voice. So don't break him head on. That afternoon, Elena was summoned for briefing. The instructor's chamber was lined with towering alien figures, their gazes heavy. Your next opponent, said a feathered Varkhul instructor, is unmatched in endurance. Few cadets have even dented his exoskeleton, a Drenari growled low. One strike from him will crush a human's ribs. If you value survival, yield. Elena's hands clenched at her sides. If humanity yields here, it yields forever. Soren's plasma form pulsed brighter. Then remember this, strength is not only in bone, but in the will to endure. Enter the arena, knowing the difference. She bowed, heart steady despite the storm brewing in her chest. The arena burned with heat as she stepped inside. Lava pulsed through cracks in the ground, casting a crimson glow. The crowd was deafening, chants rising from every corner. Then came Kralok. He emerged from the gates like a living fortress, towering twice her height. His exoskeleton shone obsidian black, plates layered thick over his limbs. Mandibles clicked rhythmically, a sound that resonated like drums of war. The referee's voice thundered, "Begin!" Kralok charged instantly, the ground trembling under each strike of his claws. Elena darted aside, his first blow shattering stone where she had stood. Shards of molten rock sprayed outward, heat scorching her face. She circled, eyes scanning. Every joint in his armor gleamed with ridged seams. Elbows, knees, the hinge of his mandibles. Weaknesses, not many, but enough. He swung again, claws slicing the air. She ducked low, rolling across the lava-cracked floor, then surged upward with a strike to his knee joint. The impact sent pain rattling through her bones, but Kralok staggered half a step. The crowd gasped, his mandibles clicked furiously. "Fragile," he hissed, voice guttural. "You cannot break me." Elena steadied her breath. "I don't need to break you. I just need to make you fall," he roared and swung both arms downward in a crushing arc. She vaulted sideways, boots skidding, then launched herself up his arm like a climber scaling a cliff. Her fists hammered into the elbow joint, 3 sharp strikes in succession. Cracks splintered faintly across the plating. Kralok thrashed violently, flinging her off. She hit the ground hard, air blasting from her lungs. Pain spiked through her ribs, vision hazy. But she forced herself to her feet before his next strike landed. Malik's voice echoed faintly from the stands. "Stay moving!" "He's a wall. Walls fall to leverage, not fists." Jun's sharper tone cut through. "Target the hinges! Wear him down!" Elena forced air into her lungs and moved again. She circled, each step deliberate, each strike aimed at seams in the armor. She battered the knees, the elbows, the soft plates beneath the mandibles. Each hit small, but each leaving cracks that spread wider under his own weight. At last, Kralok lifted both arms high for a final crushing blow. Elena dove under, twisting, and slammed both fists into the inner joint of his knee with everything she had left. A sharp, sickening crack split the air. The giant collapsed sideways, slamming into the ground with a thunderous crash. Dust and heat blasted upward. The crowd erupted in chaos, cheers, screams, disbelief. Kralok struggled, mandibles clashing, but his leg refused to bear his weight. Slowly, with a guttural rumble, he slammed one claw into the ground in a gesture of acknowledgement. Not surrender, but respect. The referee's voice rang clear. Victory, humanity. Back in the prep chamber, Malik clapped her so hard on the back she nearly stumbled. "You toppled a mountain, Elena, a damn mountain." Jun, ever focused, scrolled furiously through data. "You exposed weak points no one thought to exploit. That wasn't brute force, it was engineering with fists." Elena sank onto the bench, unwrapping her bloodied hands. Her knuckles throbbed, skin split, but her eyes were steady. "He underestimated me." "That was his mistake." Jun shook his head. "Not anymore. After this, none of them will." The academy halls buzzed louder than ever that evening. Cadets parted as Elena walked through, some whispering in awe, others glaring with resentment. A winged Vayari approached, wings folded tightly. "You fought well," he said, voice clipped. "Perhaps humans are not what we believed." Elena nodded once. "We never were." He dipped his head before turning away, vanishing into the crowd. Malik smirked. "Look at that. Enemies turning into allies already." Jun's voice was cooler. "And allies into targets. Make no mistake, they won't all welcome us rising." Elena's datapad chimed. She opened it to find a single glowing line. "Next match, Drenari champion." Her pulse quickened. Varkhul. She closed her eyes, breathing slow, steady. The rivalry that had begun as bullying was now elevated to something greater. This was no longer a personal grudge. It was a test of what humanity meant to the galaxy. She set the datapad down, her voice quiet but unwavering. Then it ends with him. The arena lights dimmed until only two figures stood illuminated. On one side, Elena Torres, smaller, battered from her last fight, bruises layered across her skin. On the other, Varkhul Dren, taller, stronger, scales gleaming like black iron under the glow. The crowd's roar was thunderous, every voice craving the clash that had been inevitable from the moment they met. Headmaster Soren's voice cut through the noise. Final match. Humanity versus Drenari. Fight with honor. The signal blared. Varkhul moved first. His opening strike came clean and disciplined, a clawed sweep fast enough to slice air like a blade. Elena ducked, countering with a jab to his ribs. The blow thudded but didn't break scale. He stepped back, eyes narrowing. "You're stronger," he said, voice guttural. She adjusted her stance. "So are you." They circled, each waiting for the other to slip. The first phase came with blistering heat. Sand dunes rose under their feet, a false sun blazing overhead. Varkhul surged forward, plowing through the terrain with effortless power. Elena kept light, weaving side to side, refusing to meet him head-on. He lunged, claws tearing through sand, but she slid away, snapping a kick at his knee joint. He staggered half a step. She followed with a strike to his jaw, fast as lightning. The crowd gasped. Varkhul grunted, then laughed, a deep, resonant sound. "At last! A fight worthy of my strength." He pressed harder. His tail whipped across the sand, forcing her to leap. A claw raked her shoulder, hot pain cutting deep. She gritted her teeth, shoving the pain aside, answering with a palm strike under his chin. His head snapped back. They broke apart, both breathing heavier, both refusing to yield. The ground froze. Dunes hardened into jagged ice, breath steaming in the cold. Varkhul's steps cracked the surface, shards flying. He came in again, sharper now, strikes landing in a rhythm that tested her defense. Elena blocked one, ducked another, but his tail lashed out, knocking her across the ice. She skidded, ribs screaming. He advanced slowly, deliberately. "Yield and you live." Elena forced herself up, blood dripping from her lip. "Humans don't yield. We endure," he roared and charged. She sidestepped at the last instant, slamming her fist into the seam of his elbow. A fracture splintered across the scale. He hissed, fury flashing in his eyes. "You learn fast," he growled. "It's what we do." The ice shattered into void. Platforms floated in weightless black, gravity thin, their bodies drifting. Varkhul launched upward, his massive frame cutting across the darkness with startling grace. He came down like a meteor, claws flashing. Elena twisted, using the void to spin past him, driving a knee into his side mid-air. They collided, spiraling, slamming into separate platforms. She landed in a crouch, chest heaving. He rolled to his feet, blood at the corner of his mouth. They launched again, mid-air strikes echoing like thunderclaps. Each hit shook their bodies. Each counter answered with equal force. Elena's knuckles split open, but she pressed on, striking seams, weak points, anywhere she could reach. He caught her once, claws clamping her arm, dragging her close. His eyes blazed. "You are no prey, but you are not predator either." She twisted, breaking free, elbow smashing into his throat. He gagged, stumbling. "We don't need to be predators," she said, steady. "We just need to survive long enough to win." The final shift came. Frozen wasteland turned volcanic, rivers of magma glowing red, heat waves rippling through the chamber. The crowd roared louder, sensing the climax. Elena's body screamed with exhaustion. Her shoulder burned, her ribs ached, her fists bled. But she stood tall, refusing to bend. Varkhul looked no better. Scales cracked, blood staining his claws, breath ragged. They met in the center, no hesitation left. Strike against strike, blow for blow. His claw raked across her ribs. She answered with a fist to his jaw. He slammed her to the ground. She rolled, kicking his knee. Both staggered, both rose again. At last, Varkhul swung wide, leaving his side exposed for a heartbeat. Elena seized it. She darted in, every ounce of will pouring into her final strike. Her fist hammered into the seam of his ribs. The sound cracked across the arena. Varkhul staggered, dropped to one knee, chest heaving. Silence fell. Elena stood before him, swaying, bloodied but unbroken. She raised her fists again, ready if he rose. Instead, Varkhul lowered his head. His voice carried through the stillness. "Enough! You have won!" The arena exploded. Cheers from humans, stunned gasps from aliens, murmurs rippling like a tidal wave. Headmaster Soren's voice thundered overhead. "By her strength, by her resilience, humanity is recognized." Elena's vision blurred, but she held herself upright. Malik's shout pierced through the crowd, June's quiet smile visible from the stands. Varkhul rose slowly, towering again. Yet there was no arrogance left, only respect. He extended a clawed hand. "From this day, human, we are equals." Her body trembled, but she took his hand, grip firm. Their hands locked, flesh and scale, fragile and powerful. The crowd roared louder, voices blending into one undeniable truth. Humanity had earned its place. Later, in her quarters, Elena sat bandaged, Malik and Jun flanking her. Malik grinned wide. "You didn't just win. You made the galaxy choke on its own doubts." June's voice was steadier. "And now they'll start treating us as competitors, equals. That means respect and danger." Elena's gaze drifted to the hologram of Earth glowing softly on her desk. Blue oceans, green continents, fragile and strong all at once. She whispered, almost to herself. "We don't start fights, but when they come to us, we finish them." Her friend sat in silence. The truth needed no answer. This was only the beginning.